Told my adopted cousin his father was a convicted felon and his mother loved dogs more than him. After he exposed my parents' affair. At school, he threw a laptop at my head, and now my parents say I'm the one who lacks empathy. I'm 17, and I live with my parents and my cousin, Steve, who's 16. He's technically my cousin, but my parents adopted him when he was 7 after his parents lost custody. His dad's in prison for armed robbery, and his mom disappeared years ago after getting caught up with drugs. My parents always said I should treat him like a brother, that he'd been through a lot, and I should be patient with him. For the most part, I tried. I've always known my parents' marriage isn't great. They don't yell much, but there's a tension that hangs in the air all the time. My dad works late, my mom looks tired all the time, and when they do talk, it's short and stiff. It's been like that for years. I don't remember the last time we did anything as a family without it feeling forced. I usually just stay in my room or go out with friends to avoid the mood at home. Steve has a different way of handling it. He acts perfect around adults, polite, charming, respectful, but when it's just us, he's sarcastic and mean in small ways. He'll make little digs about me being the favorite, or how I don't know what real problems are. He's good at twisting things, so he never gets caught. Teachers love him. My parents think he's trying his best, and everyone keeps reminding me that he's had a rough childhood, so I should cut him some slack. A few months ago, I overheard my parents arguing after they thought I'd gone to bed. It wasn't like their usual bickering, it was worse. I heard my mom ask if she meant that much to him. That's how I found out my dad was having an affair. The woman's a family friend, someone who's been around for years. My mom told him to end it, but it was obvious she didn't want to deal with the fallout. She said she didn't want the family to look broken. I didn't tell anyone what I heard. I didn't want to be in the middle of it. Somehow, Steve found out. I don't know how, maybe he overheard too, or someone slipped, but instead of keeping it quiet, he told everyone. I mean, everyone. By the time I got to school, people were whispering about my dad sleeping with someone else's wife. A couple of kids even asked if it was true. I was humiliated. It spread fast because it involved adults people actually knew. I confronted Steve after school, and he just shrugged it off, like he was doing me some kind of favor. He said something about how I deserved to know the truth. That week was one of the worst in my life. I couldn't even look at my parents without getting angry. They didn't know why people were talking, and I didn't tell them yet. I wanted to handle it quietly. But then Steve started running his mouth again, making comments in front of others about how not everyone's family is perfect. He had this smug look on his face every time. So, yeah, I snapped. We were sitting with a few other people at lunch when he started again. I told him straight up that at least my dad wasn't sitting in prison, and my mom didn't love drugs more than her kid. The table went dead silent. I didn't plan it. It just came out. But I wasn't lying. Everyone knew about his parents already. It just wasn't something people said out loud. Steve stood up and threw the school laptop at me. It hit me right above the eyebrow and split my skin open. I had to go to the nurse's office, and we both got suspended. They said it was mutual aggression, even though I never touched him. That night was chaos. My parents were furious, not at Steve, at me. They said I'd gone too far, that what I said was cruel and unnecessary. My mom cried about how Steve's been through enough, and that I needed to be the bigger person. My dad just looked disappointed, which honestly made me angrier. I told them Steve humiliated all of us first, but they acted like that didn't matter. They kept repeating that his trauma explains his behavior. I'm not going to pretend I handled things perfectly, but I'm not going to feel sorry for saying something true. He exposed my parents' affair, something that never should have left the house, and everyone seems to think I'm a bully because my words hit a nerve. Now, the story around school is that I attacked him for being adopted. That's not what happened, but that's how people are taking it. He's sitting at home getting sympathy while I'm the one everyone's calling heartless. I'm almost 18, and I'm counting down the months until I can leave. I don't hate my parents, but I can't keep pretending that their constant defense of him doesn't eat away at me. I used to think maybe we were just unlucky, that adoption was complicated. Now I think they just wanted to feel good about saving someone, and I was supposed to be the quiet background kid who made it look easy. Update 1. It's been a week since everything happened, and honestly, the house feels like a pressure cooker. My parents grounded me after the fight and said I needed to make peace with Steve. I told them I wasn't apologizing for telling the truth. That didn't go down well. They keep saying I'm making things worse, that I'm fueling the tension, as if Steve didn't start this entire thing by running his mouth about their affair. Meanwhile, Steve's been walking around like some tragic victim. He's been staying in his room, but whenever my parents talk about him, It's all sympathy and excuses. He's been through a lot. He's struggling with his past. He's traumatized. He's milking it perfectly quiet, distant, polite when they're around my mom's, cooking him his favorite meals again, checking on him every hour. She told me I should be ashamed of hurting his feelings. The same kid who threw a laptop at my face. At home, my parents are trying to act like nothing's wrong. They still talk in hushed voices late at night, and I've heard my mom crying in the kitchen more than once. I caught parts of a conversation between them a few nights ago, something about damage control and people talking. Turns out, the woman my dad had the affair with, she's been calling my mom. Apparently, her husband found out too, and now it's a full mess. My parents are terrified of the gossip spreading even further, so I guess Steve really did blow it wide open. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced he didn't do it out of guilt or morals. He wanted to stir chaos. It's what he does. He gets off on watching other people deal with the fallout. I used to think maybe he didn't know how much damage he caused, but I don't believe that anymore. He knows exactly how to push buttons. And I've started noticing small things that make it clear how much my parents protect him. My mom hides her phone when I walk into the room, but I caught a glimpse of a message she sent my aunt, Steve's biological mom's sister, saying he's regressing emotionally and needs constant reassurance. They talk about him like he's 5. I'm 17 and haven't heard a word of reassurance from either of them in years. Yesterday, I found out something else that made my stomach drop. My friend, whose cousin goes to another school nearby, told me Steve's been messaging the son of the woman my dad had the affair with. They've been talking about how fake both families are. I didn't want to believe it at first, but then I saw one of the messages pop up on Steve's iPad that he left on the counter. So he's not just spreading rumors anymore. He's actively feeding the drama. I tried to tell my mom, but she shut me down before I finished. She said I was looking for reasons to hate him, and that Steve's healing process doesn't look the same as mine. Healing process. That's what she calls it. I asked her if throwing a laptop at my head counted as healing, and she just told me I needed to stop holding grudges. My dad's been mostly quiet through all of this. I can tell he's ashamed about what happened, but instead of taking responsibility, he just avoids everyone. He's barely home anymore. My mom's falling apart trying to hold everything together, and Steve plays the helpless, damaged act so perfectly that no one questions him. I decided I wasn't staying in that house any longer than I had to. I called my older cousin, she's 23, and told her what was going on. She didn't sound surprised. She said everyone in the family knew my parents had bitten off more than they could chew when they adopted Steve, but no one wanted to be the one to say it. She told me I could come stay with her for a bit, and I did. The moment I left, my mom called non-stop, saying I was abandoning family when things are hard. I told her I just needed space. What I didn't say was that I can't breathe in that house anymore. Every conversation feels like a guilt trip. Every silence feels like a judgment. And Steve's probably enjoying the peace now that I'm gone. Being here at my cousin's place, away from the chaos, has made me realize just how warped everything has been. My parents think they're being compassionate, but really, they're protecting Steve because he's their project. He's their proof that they're good people, that they saved someone. Admitting he's manipulative would mean admitting their good deed didn't fix him, so instead, they make me the problem. Update 2. It's been about 3 weeks now. Since I've left, my parents tried to keep up appearances. They told everyone the situation between me and Steve was just teenage drama that got out of hand. But that stopped working once things started spreading beyond the family. My dad's affair, which Steve had originally blabbed about at school, somehow ended up leaking at his workplace. From what I've been told, text messages were sent anonymously to his boss's wife. Screenshots and all, nobody has proof of who sent them. But I'd bet everything I own that it was Steve. The timing lined up too perfectly, and he's the only person who had reason to dig for that kind of ammunition. My dad got demoted not long after that. Officially, they said it was a restructuring issue, but everyone in the family knows why. My mom apparently had a meltdown and started blaming me, saying I provoked Steve into doing it by humiliating him and making him feel like the broken one. I don't know how someone can justify that kind of logic, but my parents seem committed to pretending Steve's chaos is always someone else's fault. The only person who's been sane about all of this is my older cousin, the one I'm staying with. She's known Steve for years and has always said something about him felt off. My mom's not doing well either. My cousin told me she's been drinking more lately. My dad barely comes home. Every time they do talk, it apparently turns into another argument about whose fault all of this is. And through it all, Steve is still there, acting like the perfect son, doing chores, staying quiet, setting the dinner table. I had to go back once to collect some of my things. The whole time, Steve followed me around like nothing had ever happened. He tried to act friendly, asking if I'd forgiven him, yet I didn't even respond. My mom stood there looking exhausted, but still defended him when I wouldn't talk. She said I shouldn't hold a grudge against a kid who's been through so much. I'm tired of hearing that excuse. We all have things we've been through. Not everyone uses it as an excuse to hurt other people and play victim when they get called out. Since moving in with my cousin, I've been focusing on finishing my final year of school. I'm keeping my head down, working, and trying to ignore everything else I've accepted that nobody's going to step in and make things right. If I want peace, I'll have to find it myself. Update 3. It's been a month since my previous update. Steve filed a complaint at school saying I made him feel unsafe. I thought it would be brushed off. I knew it was ridiculous, but the school actually took it seriously at first. I got called into a meeting with the principal and counselor, and they mentioned they had received written statements from Steve claiming I bullied him about being adopted and mocked his biological parents. It made my stomach drop, because that's exactly what he's been telling everyone since the fight. The difference was this time, it wasn't just gossip, it was official. I didn't even bother trying to convince them with words. I just pulled out my phone and showed them everything. The audio of him bragging about exposing my dad's affair screenshots from when he messaged the other kid to spread it. Even the text he sent me afterward where he said he wasn't done ruining our family. The principal went quiet for a long time after listening. You could tell they didn't expect that kind of proof. They ended up calling my parents and my aunt, Steve's bio mom's sister, and uncle in for a separate meeting, along with Steve. When I saw Steve walking down the hall toward the office, he looked nervous for once. He tried to smile like he always does around adults, but it didn't land. I didn't stick around for their meeting, but from what I heard later, it didn't go well. Steve apparently started crying halfway through, saying I twisted everything, and that he only said those things because he was hurt. His aunt started defending him right away, saying he's been through trauma and that I was exploiting it. But the principal wasn't having it. They already had everything on record, his messages, the recording, even a few statements from classmates who overheard him talking about wrecking me. The result was that Steve got suspended for a few weeks for falsifying a complaint and harassment. When I got home to my cousin's place that afternoon, I felt a weird mix of relief and exhaustion. I finally had it in writing that I wasn't the problem. For once, it wasn't just my word against his, but at the same time, it didn't feel like a win. It just felt like the end of something I'd been trying to hold together for too long. My mom called me after crying. I didn't want to speak to her after the meeting, saying she was sorry for not believing me earlier and that she felt ashamed for defending him. I didn't have much to say. I told her I wasn't angry anymore, just done. My dad didn't call, but a week later, my cousin told me he had moved out temporarily to clear his head. The only person who's really stuck by me through all of this has been my older cousin. She's been saying from the start that Steve is the family's guilt project, that they adopted him to make themselves feel like good people, but never gave him real structure. Every adult in this situation has been more concerned about how they look than about what's actually right. My mom called again a few nights ago. She said Steve's therapist told her that he acted out of jealousy and abandonment issues, that he felt like I had the life he was supposed to have. I just said, that doesn't excuse what he did. She went quiet for a bit, then started crying again about how she failed as a parent and how she just wanted us to be close. I didn't say anything back. I think that hurt her more than anything else, but I can't keep comforting people who stood by while everything fell apart. The part that still gets to me is that none of this had to happen. If anyone had just held Steve accountable from the start, if they hadn't brushed off his behavior as acting out or misunderstood, things wouldn't have reached this point. Instead, they kept defending him until he completely torched every bridge he had. Now, there's no going back. The family has split into two camps. Some relatives are saying I was too harsh and should have been the bigger person. Others say I did the right thing standing up for myself. It's the same arguments over and over: empathy versus truth, guilt versus accountability. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to get through each day without getting dragged back into it. My mom keeps saying she wants the family to go to therapy together, that we can rebuild. But there's nothing left to rebuild. The version of our family I grew up with is gone, and honestly, it probably needed to be. My dad is off dealing with the mess he created. My mom is trying to make sense of her guilt, and Steve is still the center of attention. Final update. It's been about 6 months since everything went down, and I honestly don't even recognize my family anymore. I've been living with my cousin since the last update, and at this point, I don't think I'll ever move back home. What used to feel like family drama now just feels like a pile of wreckage I walked away from too late. My parents are separated now. He's renting some small place near his work and trying to act like a man starting over, but from what my cousin says, he's mostly bitter and blaming everyone else for what happened. My mom finally filed for divorce. She told me she had no choice, and that Steve's mess just pushed everything over the edge. It's not untrue, but it also feels like she's still finding ways to blame everything, except the choices she and my dad made. As for Steve, he's not living with them anymore either. After he got suspended from school, things only got worse. He was taken in by my aunt, but he started getting into fights, mouthing off to teachers, skipping classes. The same kid who used to play the victim suddenly couldn't keep his mask on anymore. My aunt and uncle tried to cover for him for a while, saying he was processing trauma or acting out from guilt, but even they ran out of excuses. Eventually, they transferred him to a smaller school in another district, hoping for a fresh start. My mom called me a few weeks ago. It was one of those long, heavy conversations where she cried more than she talked. She said she regrets ever defending Steve, that she thought she was doing the right thing by showing compassion. I told her I understood that, but it doesn't make what happened okay. She said she knows, and for once, she didn't try to justify it, so at the very least there's that. I'm finishing up school now and already got accepted into a university a few hours away. I'm working part-time and saving money so I can move into my own place when the semester starts. It feels weirdly freeing to be building something that has nothing to do with any of them. My cousin says I seem lighter now, not happier exactly, but like I'm finally not carrying their guilt around with me.